Hello and welcome back to another Reaconteur video, and in today's video I will be going over more Deepwoken lore that doesn't make sense because you guys seem to really enjoy these. Before we get into it, I just want to cover something. A lot of people think I hate too much and ask me to do a positive video talking well about games instead of talking badly about them. But people who like to hear me hate click the videos. So to that I say no. And people who don't like to hear me hate will also click the videos. If I make a positive video, I lose at least half the audience. But that's not why I hate, because I don't actually make money from YouTube. I hate because it's the purest form of emotion anyone can experience. You can fake love and positive emotions, but hatred comes from the soul. And I am only honest when I produce content for you to watch. Some people say it's free to be nice, but it's also free to hate, and it's so much more fun. It gets out the negative emotion and hatred I have towards things, people, abstract concepts, and even the dumb comments people leave under these videos. I am only an advocate for the truth, so I relay that which many others are afraid to state. I am the ultimate hater, but the hate brewing within me is only truth known by all of us around. This is why I hate. Now let's get into the video. The first thing I want to talk about that doesn't make sense was actually something that happened quite recently. I think it's crazy that at this point in time, Deepwoken not only has so little lore relevance to the game, which was originally supposed to be a lore game, but also the devs have such little communication that somebody was able to pretend to be Reaconteur and start like an announcement thing with a voice changer or something, and then talk about Gojo and then the little girl from Fear and Hunger, and people thought it was believable for like world event related stuff and lore in game. And it took like a day or two for people to find out it was fake and then finally make sense of it and be like, oh, that doesn't actually make sense. Like, yeah, obviously he was describing Jujutsu Kaisen and Fear and Hunger plots, and you guys thought that that was going into Deepwoken? What's wrong with all of you? Also, the Meat Lord had a dialogue cut where he used to say, "Here's your meat boy." He now just says, "Here's your meat," and cuts the boy, because he is not Kratos. This was probably cut for one of two reasons. Firstly, gender inclusivity in Deepwoken. Secondly, apparently AI censorship and detection tools on Google, Roblox, and other like platforms are starting to consider the word boy racist and giving warnings to people on Roblox, YouTube, and other platforms. Like actually, one of my old videos from like a year ago, it was like an item asylum video, got taken down for that without appeal potential because I said "come here boy" while chasing somebody. So thanks YouTube, very much appreciate it. You too, Roblox. Also, let's talk about the new weapon, the Yisli's Pyre Keeper. Why is it green? In the description of the weapon, it refers to this green flame as the life of fire, but like, what is it? It's most likely life weave imbued into flames, kind of like how Twisted Puppets is shadow cast imbued into flames. This is also additive because it's from the Hive, and the Hive are known for using life weave magic, but flame is just getting really like over bloated in comparison to the other attunements now, because the devs just keep adding lore to new weapons that don't need to exist. Like, they could have just made it take the color of your flame, which it already does if you have a path, but instead, they decided on it being green and adding a fourth flame color if you're not using a path already. Like, think about it this way. Thundercall, Gale Breath, and Frostdraw all have 2 color variants. Ironsing has none, and then Flame has 4? This is not necessary. There was no reason to have given this weapon its own unique flame color. I know they wanted it to be a legendary, but the weapon itself already looks pretty cool, and it just would look fine with the default colors that already exist for Flame. You guys didn't need to add a new one. And because you guys did add a new one, why couldn't you do something cool? Green sucks. Green is such a bad color, first of all. Second of all, green is the color of hellfire and hell flames. So if this is the fire of life, why would it be green? Maybe a golden or yellowish flame would have been more fitting. And since we've seen Life Weave as kind of like a rainbow-ish multicolored attunement, you guys could have added rainbow flames. There were so many opportunities for so many colors and designs way cooler, and you chose green, which not only doesn't make sense from a real-life standpoint because it's hellfire, but also just doesn't look good. Next up is on Kainors. The Kainors in lore are very loyal to their people and are highly favored by the authority, being second only to the Adrits, and it's like a very close second. This natural loyalty means that realistically Kainors would never betray the authority. So how is it possible for Kainors to become contractors and join the Ministry? The Ministry are the enemy of the authority, and the Kainors are loyal, so why would they, you know, join the Ministry like ever? Also, does the Lord Regent ever actually get the forge from the Duke? The Duke comes out the depths in like minutes, and the Lord Regent keeps sending people after him. Like, bro, why don't you just send people into the depths through a whirlpool to jump him, and then boom, you get the forge for free? And some people would probably be like, oh, why doesn't the Lord Regent go kill himself? For those of you that don't know, the Lord Regent actually has to stay in his throne, because that throne that he's in, he has to sit there because it's a magic throne, and it allows him to put like a veil over Etris that lets him like mind control people kinda. It's a lot of very weird stuff that is very poorly explained, but basically the Lord Regent is only able to be in his chair, which is why he's been there for the last 600 years developing the worst case of swamp ass in history, because he can't shower. Imagine those sweaty, oiled up cheeks. And those oils are natural too. It's disgusting. Anyway, more Silent Heart stuff. Why can Silent Heart users use Ardor Scream? I know people keep saying it only silences some notes of the song and not all of them, but like, realistically, mantras and murmurs can't be that different from each other, and Tacit is proof of this. Tacit as a murmur silences the song, which makes you invisible. That means that murmurs can be abilities which are independent of the song like Tacit, or dependent of it like Ardor Scream. You also can't say, oh, well, they're both for support. That's the difference between a murmur and a mantra. Because support mantras exist. And realistically, if they added, like, I don't know, Flame of Denial as a murmur, it wouldn't not fit, even though that's a mantra. There's really not anything that separates murmurs and mantras that well within the lore. So why is Ardor Scream usable when in functionality it seems really close to a mantra? And there's barely any specification for murmurs in lore, right? So prospectively, murmurs could hypothetically just be a different variation of mantras that we as the player use differently, which is why they're not in our hotbar, and instead we press like H or G to activate them. Which, that's possible, but we would never know because murmurs aren't really explained and they're kind of mysterious. Also, why don't we have better forms of transportation in Deepwoken yet? We know the Hive in lore, but not in-game, has flying Gundam mechs according to Yayafino. There are also ways to set up teleporters through islands which are already in the game, but we can't have any better transportation other than these painfully slow boats and the glitchy, terrible iron boat that I forgot the name of. We could be having like private jets at this point with the technology in Deepwoken. We could have infrastructure built for cars, but these people in the Deepwoken world insist on continuing to use boats instead of just building roads and bridges, which by the way would be even easier than in the real world because Deepwoken has magic powers, one of which being Iron Sing, which is literally made to conjure and control metal masterfully. So why don't we have bridges and cars yet? It doesn't make sense why we're still using boats. We're in like the Stone Age with technology better than what we have in the modern day. These motherfuckers are teleporting. Also, why do you need to bring the blacksmith schematics? All armor schematics are the same, and the blacksmith likely just adjusts the armor to your body. They also all take the same amount of resources, so obviously there's not much difference, but the blacksmiths can't use the same schematics for advanced armors provided to them from other people or your past characters. Realistically, it would make more sense if schematics at least saved after you got them on different or previous character incarnations. I don't know if it does. It actually might at this point, but I haven't really progressed the Deepwoken build in a long time, so I am a little bit outdated on gameplay aspects. But realistically, why do we still need to bring him schematics? He's been blacksmithing for 400 years and he's got every armor in his mind already. Also, diver NPCs shouldn't be using Shadowcast magic. Shadowcast is exclusively used by players and the Ministry NPCs, but sometimes we can find diver NPCs using Shadowcast even though it's seen as an illegal magic, and is frowned upon for most people to use, which I covered this last time, but realistically, guards in most places should attack you if you're using shadow magic, because it is illegal and it's a sign of the evil ministry and the first prophet and all of those evil weird guys who just need to be killed already. Also, speaking of, why are the guards in most places so weak? The average player is like demigod strength level, capable of killing the Scion of Etheron and Chaser near effortlessly, and they're supposed to be super strong. But then we go through the training to reach this level of strength in like 4 hours in real life, so like a week in game. Either we're some sort of crazy prodigy as a player, and so is every other player character in Deepwoken, or the guards within most islands and cities in Deepwoken need better training and more commitment. Because how can I become strong enough to kill demigod level threats, but then the guards in Etris aren't equipped well enough to fight me, and can barely even fight the bandits that I'm one-shotting? And players on my level, just who are also on the level of these demigods, will just go up and one-shot the guards, but then these places aren't like, let's fortify our guards better, okay? Like, with how strong the average Deepwoken player is, you would expect most places to be like, oh, well, maybe we should get stronger protection so a single person can't wipe out all of our armies by force. But the Great Hive is really the only people who have done this when they made their mechs and stuff. But even though they've made the mechs, they still underutilize them, because the mechs are also still killable by players. Like, bro, you have to think bigger than that. I'm killing gods. You can't kill me with a big robot. Also, can we talk about another thing within the lore that really makes no sense? Genetic evolution, restructuring, and modification. There are only one species of apple within Deepwoken, but in real life there are hundreds of different kinds of apples, both naturally occurring and genetically modified. I'm not yapping, let me get to it. But we know, right? Genetic modification is possible in Sleepwoken, because the Hive use it to make their trees fireproof. If you don't know about that story, there was a arsonist Felinor that was setting the trees on fire. So instead of I don't know, killing him, abandoning him, getting rid of him, trying to control his arsenic tendencies, they just use genetic modification in order to just make their trees fireproof. That's how good they are at genetically modifying things, right? But they haven't considered using genetic modification on food, of all things. They have some very bad people in charge of their world, because you're telling me that before you think, oh, let's make some bigger food, let's make some better food, let's give more people better quality food, they think, let's make the trees fireproof because this guy won't stop burning them down. He's committing a crime, but let's just let him continue doing it and make our trees fireproof. What? And also, for those of you who think that for some reason the plasma cannons that Yaya Fino mentions a lot in the Hive are not Lifeweave magic and are a fusion of Thundercall and Flame Charm, no, they aren't. Stop telling me that in the comments. They literally just aren't. It is Lifeweave. Yaya Fino confirmed this. He literally commented on one of the first lore videos I made saying, oh yeah, that's Lifeweave. We'll add it to the game eventually or something like that. I don't even remember what Yaya said. But it is Lifeweave. This is a confirmed fact. And also, canonically, the Lord Regent can't move on from his breakup with the Duke of Arisia and keeps sending people to harass his ex-boyfriend. This is lore. This is real. Don't refute it. This is in the Reaconverse. I made it up. It's canon. And also a new piece of lore. The Coral Fiend is canonically my wife. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you want to suggest more lore bits that don't make sense in Deepwoken, because I am severely running out of them, then leave a comment or join my Discord. The Coral Fiend is a 5'2" Latina woman. I love you all, and goodbye. Hope you all have an amazing day.